So
Yeah.
overall, not overwhelming, right? It's just enough to kind of get excited, right?
Yeah, there's well, and thank you because these are tangible things I can take and put into to use because
Super simple, super simple.
Yeah.
And,
oh, good.
And first off, awesome, getting to hang with you, and congrats on everything that you've been doing so far. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
And I got like a good 30. Like I'm here at the station, so I mean I'm good with time here. Just FYI, like the only reason I'd have to just like leave on you real quick is if we get a 911 call.
Okay.
Not
okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just so you know, if I'm like, hey, gotta go, it's just that's what it is. Nothing personal.
Okay.
Nothing
good,
personal.
Good.
I'm gonna record this for us, so at the end of it, I'll send it to you so that you
Perfect.
can refer to it. Okay.
Okay. That sounds great.
So to start off, give me a little bit of the backstory of like what you first saw with Empire. Like whose ad or whose stuff did you originally see? How long did it take you to go through the content until you got really comfortable, doing the month of February, like advertising?
Yeah.
Can you give me that backstory, just so I'm...
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you know Lori Conrad.
Oh yeah, Lori's awesome.
Yeah. So she's the one that I reached.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, I didn't find her through Ren. I found her through. I was just searching for online business opportunities, basically.
Okay.
And I got her and talked to her and set up a call and basically asked what she does because I was talking about a network marketing thing, and she said, "Well, how much you want to make a month?" And she said, "Well, have you figured out how much
low ticket, high ticket?" Yeah, she went through that process with you, and yeah, okay,
yeah. So then I just said, "Well, what do you do?" And she told me about Ren.
Yep.
And so that's how I got started, and so I've been coaching under her.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how I got to this point, and so I'm excited to have the leads, but I'm not getting applications, so I'm not getting sales.
Yeah. So overall, well, one thing good is awesome that you're with Lori because she's awesome. She's gonna be a great person and yeah, she's really good to be with and stuff like that. And so, what's a little bit of your background as far as for traditional work? Like, what had you saying, you know what? I'm tired of XYZ. I want to do stuff on my own. Give me a little bit of that.
Well, where we're at now, I've had a background in sales and marketing, but for the last
like
kind
traditional,
of a whole world
traditional
collapsed.
offline, just traditional offline sales and marketing, or
yes.
Okay, so online stuff's new for you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we've been the economy shift in 2009 sent us into this ranch management type stuff, and we both are tired of it because for multiple reasons. So that's why I started trying to do this, and so we're at that point where you've invested all this time and all this energy and all this money, and we're just like waiting for something to come back, and freaking out about the credit card bill and all that stuff.
And so give you a little backstory, like for me, totally get where you're coming from and where you're feeling. This time last year, so to give you an idea, in last January, I took my first Renaissance trip. Okay, like I bought sometime like late 2016, and then I wanted to immediately activate the value with Renaissance because my wife's whole thing, she doesn't care anything about the internet, right? But she likes the idea of trips. Like that's the whole reason I got back in the world of Mark was because we were traveling a lot, and I knew that Mark had something with travel. And so I was like, okay, I could, if anything, I'll save some money. And then if I make a little bit, my goal was last year, like I wanted to make 10,000 online to replace my travel budget, Like that was my goal, right? Well, we ended up doing like 60 or so like last year kind of thing. But it doesn't, but just so you know, like it's a momentum thing, and we'll go over this in the training today. Like, so everything that you're doing right now, you're on the right track, and I'll show you why later on. But I totally get where you're coming from though, because like I said, last January, I took that first vacation. I was really inspired, all this kind of stuff, because I was inspired by wanting more of that. And I knew that this was the vehicle that could give me more of that. So anchoring to your why, like whatever your reason why is, like remember, like the reason I'm going through all this, process is to get more of what I want. And And so in February, I spent like $1,000 in ads and got no sales, right? But I had a list going. And then in March, I think it was $3,000 or $6,000. And then it was basically the next few months, like my first 90 days, it was like 20 grand worth, you know? But the majority of that came near the very end of that 90 days. And I mean, there was times where I was spending upwards to $200 a day, but my lead flow was below. It was like $3 or $4, and like everything was in rhythm. Okay, so I knew that, all right, eventually the numbers just are gonna work. And then I ended up having a day where I had 3 sales in one day, and
Wow.
yeah, and that was while I was on a road trip with my wife and family, and they all came in. Like we're at lunch, right? And with the whole family, table full of family, and 2 of them had came in. I showed my wife, and that meant a couple $1,000s for us. And then so afterwards, I told everybody, I was like, "We're all going to get ice cream. I'm buying ice cream for everybody," you know. And so, so I share all that with you just to be like, you're on the right track. And with high ticket, the only thing that's different with high ticket is that since it is high ticket, sales don't like you'll have some people have stuff that just hits right away, and then other ones you gotta hit the numbers. You want to shoot for 1% conversion per 100 leads, right? So you're at 100 leads right now, right? And so you would want to have had, you know, anywhere from like 3 to 10 applications from that 100, okay? And then of those, right? Because typically, if your marketing's on point, you're attracting all the right people. They're going to be applying, and then the phone call part of it is just really to make them feel comfortable that, hey, you're a real person. This just like how you saw with Lori. Like you saw all her content, she got on the phone with you and just really wanted to hear what you needed, and then provided a solution to make sure, you know, just how that goes. So right now you have a lot of the wheels going. The cog that you're having, then if how many applications have you had so far with the first 100 leads? Did you say it was 2 applications, or you've only had 2 people view it, or where are you at with that?
I think 2 people have gotten to the application page because that's what it shows in ClickFunnels.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten any applications.
Okay. All right. So what we might have to do then is for your what I'd want you to try to do is, because right now the application, when they click, it goes to the page, right, of all the application stuff. I want you to, the button underneath the webinar, okay? I want that to click directly to your application, okay? And here's why. It's going to remove, the whole reason that we have it on an actual page is so that we can pixel and retarget that. But that can be done at a later time. We want to see if it's just that extra click that they're just not doing for whatever reason, okay? And we want to test just going straight there. So, are you using Typeform?
No, I'm using Aweber.
Aweber, like, so your questionnaires are going.
It was built in Aweber.
Okay. Yeah. So just whatever that link is. So I mean, you'll know which link that you'll need to do. That button underneath there, when it says like, yes, like however it says, I'm ready to apply now. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Have that click to go on there. Okay.
Okay.
So that will let us start testing if that's where our cog is, and you should start getting that. If you do that and the leads are still like, because we want to get another couple leads, and you want to be broadcasting your list, because since the month of February, how many personal broadcasts did you do to your list? That's where like it's the one-off email to your list.
Yeah, I just did another one last week, and so I need to start emailing them.
Yeah, so because the first thing, like I said, you go through this process of the journey, right? You're not trying to get that first sale. You want to get that first click, and you're like, check, did that. All right, I want to get my first opt-in, check, did that, you know. So you're going down. So now, since you have a list, you've proven that you can get that, you want to start mattering to them, you know, like keep the story going, letting them know, because right now, those people, they saw something, the promise that we have, because you're using the, like how to travel often and get paid to do it, capture page?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So with that promise, okay, they have that, it's a very much of a freedom lifestyle promise, right? And so they want to know, they have all these fear, doubts, and anxieties about getting started. Like, oh, I want this, but how would it work for me? you know?
Right.
So if you start telling your story of how I cannot believe that just 60 days ago I didn't know what a capture page was, I didn't know what this was, but all I did was click and play the levels, you know, and tell that story, all right?
Okay.
And then give them your backstory, because the people on your list or stuff like that, they're going to relate to you, all right? Your best avatar to start with is the version of you, kind of thing.
Okay.
So like somebody that was successful in traditional business but realized that it's not that they're afraid of hard work or scared of hard work or anything like that. They just want to have more leverage in their life. You want more leverage time, you want more freedom, you're willing to put in the time, you're willing to swipe the credit card, you're willing to put a little bit of risk because the reward, you see the reward. You see all these, and for you, what I would use this is a marketing strategy, and you want to make the enemies and allies kind of thing. So you can use stories like this where you're like, I'm tired of seeing these punk little 20-year-olds making all this money on the internet, you know, and it comes second nature to them, you know, like they've been doing this since they were 15. So by the time they hit 20, they got their PhD in social media. You know, me, I needed a little bit more help. So I enlisted, you know, what I'm used to doing is you go to work, you go to school, you get taught by a mentor, and then you take that and you go to the marketplace. Well, since there's no clear path to entrepreneurship, I had to find me a good mentor. And so after looking all over, vetting a bunch of people, I came across a guy I was recommended by Mark Coverson. Now, Mark has been, you know, great family guy. I was a little worried about all the people online because the internet's a dirty place, okay? But every industry is dirty, right? Like healthcare, where we're at, people, you know, manipulate drugs. Like if you're a lawyer, there's sleazy people that are lawyers, but there's also great lawyers, right? And so I found this guy, Mark, but he just seemed different. He seemed, you know, I just had a good feeling with him, and I started going through his content. And just in the first whatever, and then you share your biggest result. You're like, in the first 30 days, I got 100 leads. And from what I'm told, that's like near impossible for most people, you know, to generate, because it is. Like, that is complete true. Like, if they've been studying the internet marketing space, they've probably never generated one. And you're coming in here like, I don't even know if this is good, but I got 100. You know, you want to play up that like, hey, look, I don't even know. Okay. So these are all stories. Like each of these steps are like one-off emails kind of thing, where you first tell the story of like, hey, this is my backstory. This is what XYZ happened, and we were just sick and tired of being sick and tired. But what I found out next totally changed everything, and I'm gonna tell you about it tomorrow. And then the next day you're like, so. And then you start off with something a little bit different, and then you come back to that story later on. It's very similar. Are you a big like Game of Thrones or any other, like, do you have a big TV series that you like to watch?
No, not really.
So most TV series, like, if you know, especially Game of Thrones, they're great at this. They get all the way to the end of the episode, and there's a high amount of conflict, and then they cut to the credits, you know, and then then you gotta wait for next week, right? You want your email list to have that same anticipation for your emails, because what that does is you're giving this a little bit of tease of stuff, and then you basically want to climax to like, all right, I got my first lead. Now I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it. Like, what do I do next? I'll tell you about that tomorrow, you know? So, hey, I started emailing them. I got my first application. How do I prepare for that? I'll tell you about that tomorrow. And then you tell them about how you watch Mark's 21 word-for-word closings and stuff like that, you know? And you just, you go through and you see how this, like, just storyboards everything?
Right, yeah, it does. It makes sense.
And it allows them to see themselves, because this whole time people are so self-reflective. They're reading this and they're like, could I do what she's doing, kind of thing, you know? And then you want to be able to, you're telling all this stuff, but then eventually you'll have those big hard-hitting selling emails, or you'll have those big hard-hitting emails where you're like, hey, check out this video. I'm going to do a special, you know, whatever video that explains XYZ, you know. So is that all making sense? Some of the things that you can be doing? So I would tell you, for your lead flow, keep doing what you're doing. As far as for, let me ask you, I'm going to ask you some numbers now on your advertising, okay? So I'm assuming you're at roughly like $15-$20 a day. What's your budget that
I'm at right now? I moved it to 25 a day.
And how many different, whenever you started off, did you start off with multiple different targetings and then you picked the ones that worked and then move those into the next one?
Yeah, kind of. We started out with one block that Lori recommended, and then I added 4 because, like Robert Kiyosaki and Russell Brunson and that type of thing. And so they did give me some, but she was concerned.
And they were all separated, or were they all in one? They were all.
Yeah, those were all separated.
Good.
She was saying how they're all very different.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So y'all. So right now, who are you targeting right now?
I've got like Eric Worre, and the Savvy Women Network marketers. I think.
Yep.
Sarah Robbins, Ray Higdon. I think that's everybody in that block.
All right, so all those are on one. And what age demographic are you targeting?
Women 40 to 50, or women 40 to 55, I think.
Okay.
Because it's closer to me.
Yep, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I was just making sure. Like, yeah, so that's probably why you're getting really good lead flow. If you were just blanketed like 18 to 60 or whatever, you'd probably be $10, $15, $20. That's what I was originally. I was like really big, but then trim the fat. So yeah, so that's on point with it. Now, between the Savvy Women, the Eric Worre, Sarah Robbins, Ray Higdon, did you test those individually and then they all proven to work and then you lumped them together?
No, we lumped them together right from the start.
Okay.
And so that's been the consistent lead generator. And then I had broken out the other ones I just mentioned separately to test them.
Okay. Because with those, the other thing that you can do is the Savvy Women, the Eric Worre, Sarah Robbins, Ray Higdon, for example, those are all really good ones. But, for example, with your message and your stuff, it might be that the Savvy Women's are the ones that, like, from that audience is where it's really hitting, and the Ray Higdons aren't as much, you know. So I would recommend, you wouldn't have to do this, but you would just duplicate your campaign that you have. Like, you don't want to change your control. Like, you have your control, because part of a good marketing is always trying to beat your control, okay? And so you would just duplicate it and then create everything the same except only have one targeting at like $5 a day. And you could just do like the Savvy Women I would give it like till it reaches its first 500 or 1,000 people, okay? Because that could be anywhere from, 1 day to 3 days. And then see like, hey, how does that work? Are you doing mobile and desktop or just mobile?
Both.
Good. Okay. Now, have you looked at the split out to see where your leads are coming more from, mobile or desktop?
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah. So look at that. The other thing that you can split test, and I've done this in the past and it works, is if you're doing mobile only, then you can check a little box that says on Wi-Fi only. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So if you do that, the idea there is that if they're on Wi-Fi, they typically have more time on their phone, to really kind of get a feel for what you're doing. On your, also your advertisement. Okay, on your actual advertisement. How is it? What kind of ad are you running? Is it for conversions? Like the
yes.
Okay.
It's for conversions.
And then your image is a picture of you, like bright, good colors, kind of thing.
Yeah, I tested it initially with 3 images, and one is the leader. So now I put them all into the one. Yeah,
good. Okay, and then your actual advertisement, is it a story ad? Is it more of a newsfeed ad, or what is it? What kind of?
It's a story ad.
Okay. And then do you know about how many words it is? Like, for example, 300, 500, 1,000?
Probably, I would say probably at least 500.
Okay, yeah, so good medium size. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all that's really good. The other thing that I would recommend you doing, okay, I would say keep your control going, right? But start split testing now. Now we want to start figuring out, who these buyers are. now that it's been roughly about 30 days or so, some of these people are on there. A good way to wake up your list is to say an email, a broadcast saying, "Are you still interested?" Question mark. Okay. All right. And then in the in the email, just say, "Hey," and then put the little name brackets because you want to call them by name,
Right.
And then be like, "Just wanted to check in to see if you're still interested in, living, doing." Kind of word it the same promise, or I would say use some kind of language that you tell yourself. Okay, whatever that might be, like whatever your goal was, and just say, "If so, I'd hit reply and I'll, let me know," kind of thing. And then what you can do is say, "Hit reply," and I'll tell you the first. I'll let you know how I went from knowing absolutely nothing to my first 100 leads, kind of thing.
Okay.
And then if you do a little video, a little 5-10 minute video where are you familiar with how to do like a screen capture to kind of share your screen and record a video?
Yeah, on Jing I've been doing that.
Yeah, you can do it on Jing. So I would say I would shoot a little Jing video just to start off and just say, "Look, guys, I haven't done this before. I was struggling, but this is all I did." And then show them in the back office. But first, talk about your biggest result. Let me backtrack. You start off, say, "Hey, this was my biggest result. Hey, I got 100 leads in the first 30 days. And from everybody that I've talked to, that's like really good. And I just find that hard to believe because it wasn't really that hard. Okay, here's what I did." And then just go through and show them in the back thing. If you'd like to know more about this, because you bought Renaissance, right? And you got Invisible Empire free.
Yes.
Right? So one of the carrots I used to always dangle with them, because Renaissance to me is the best buy. The value that you get, whatever, between an actual product and the education. I mean, the education's like free. And you get to have great trips. So anyways, so you can just say, "Hey, look, this education is normally $2,000 and you can get it at any time. But if you're really interested in getting it for free, I really would want you to check out this video." And then just tell them to click and watch it. And then tell them at the bottom of the video, there's an application. If you fill that out, it lets me know that you really like what you see and you'd like to have a chat. And I would love to talk with you. Okay?
Okay.
Because what that does, it lets them know that you're not trying to hide behind your computer. You're a real person. You got a real offer. This is a real system. Like it becomes real for them.
Right.
And so that would be important. What I would recommend you doing too is like for Renaissance, like for example, whenever I bought it, same thing with the video. If you've watched it before, you can see how there's Colorado, Hawaii, Cabo, all these different places, right? I would pick one place that you would be, that you could see yourself going and using it for, and you'd be like, and frame it up to be, and Hawaii is an easy one, right? Especially because we talk about it in there. Be like, "Look, I always wanted to go to Hawaii. Like, have you ever been yet?"
Yeah, just once.
Okay, so you know how awesome it is then. Okay. And so you can be like, "Look, we went once, but let me tell you what, it was, great when we got there, but let me tell you, it burned a hole in our pocket to get there, and I would go back if it wasn't as expensive, because once you're there, it's not that bad." And so you can frame it up that way that like now, not only do I get to take, I have access to easier, better trips to Hawaii, for example, but I'm also able to tie it into my business. Okay.
Right.
So that's just a little setup. You want to be weaving your personal stories and desires and stuff into all that. So that would be something that you're basically a case study video on your first 30 days of implementing. Okay, that's like the summary of what you want to really do.
Okay.
So to recap, make sure you're split testing or trying to beat your control, and that can simply be that you duplicate. And at $5, you do one person, and if that person gets to 1,000 people reach, and you're getting leads for, because you want to get to 1,000, because if you get only, you might get your first lead at like $1, but then you don't get another lead until 1,000 people, and then maybe it averages out to like $323, and you're like, "Oh, well, that's still better. Maybe let me try it at $10 a day, and that's how you would just keep testing that out. Okay. So test your control. Do an are you still interested email.
Yep. Okay.
To kind of wake up your buyers, and make sure and you tell them to hit reply to talk to you. Okay.
Okay.
And then just start broadcasting your list with stuff that you're learning, stuff that you're doing. Have you ever listened to, or gone to the Minute with Mark podcast?
No, I remember you mentioned it the other night. Where do I find that?
Just go to minutewithmark.com.
Okay.
That's his podcast site.
Okay.
Your cell phone, are you an Apple or Android person?
Apple.
So just go to your podcast and type in Minute with Mark. Okay. And literally listen to any and everything on there. You'll get aha moments. Okay. Share that with them. You can share that podcast directly. I've shared it with my list directly and have had people stay on it. And then they end up like, because Mark sells for you basically. You like it, all his content. They're like, I want that, and you're an affiliate, and you can give it to them. You know.
Right.
And also, keep going through like buyers. As far as for the content, Buyer's Rush Blueprint. Have you gone through much of those videos?
I have gone through them once, but I need to go through them again.
Yeah, I go through them. Like I pump it. What I do is like I'll go through a lot of them, and then I'll kind of and get a lot of good value. Then I'll read a lot of other people's books, you know, and then kind of come back to them. And so but every time I come back to Mark's stuff, I'm like, this clicks so much faster than this stuff does. Like, you know, he has such a way of making it go like that. So, but Information Marketing Blueprint also has a little, I think it's modules like 13. It's the same ones I talked about the other night. But they're short, like 20-minute videos that give you a structure to kind of how to do things. The other thing, do you have Solomon CEO?
I do. I haven't gone through it yet.
Okay.
Though. Just the part that was in the Empire.
Okay, but you have the full course?
I do.
Okay, so one of them that's on there, it's I want to say like secret maybe 20. It's called Leadership 5D. Okay. That one, the reason I point that one out is because he uses Renaissance as an example. So what's a really good thing with, and this goes in a lot through Solomon, he'll talk about, all right, how do you use that with marketing? And he'll be like, well, for my travel product, this is what I do. And so you'll get a lot of insights on the psychology, the language, the stuff like that from going through that. Not only is it very informative information, you know, but you'll get some marketing tips along the way too that work, because I've used them and yeah, they work. Kind of thing. So and like I said, this whole thing is just part of a journey. Like, don't I mean, yes, you trust me, you want that first sale, you want that first commission, you want that first money, you know, but just know that you're also committed to the journey to figure it out, kind of thing. You know, you don't want to be the one that's like for example, if you're a doctor, you wouldn't be swiping your credit card for that first semester of college for $50,000, and then by the end of the semester you're like, I don't know how to do a coronary, you know, like, I don't know that, you know, it's like, because they know that it's going to take more time, right? You know, I tell people like for this job, paramedic stuff, it took me 2 years to do, and to finally figure out to do the skills of stuff now that I can look at and I think second nature. Whereas if I told you, like, do you know how to drill into a person's shin? You're like, I don't know how to do that. It's like, you're not comfortable with that because that's not a skill that you do. Marketing's the same way. Online, like all this skill set, people are just so confused about how to do it because they've never been taught step by step. And the good thing is it only takes about 30 days to learn, to get a grasp of it. And then after 30 days, you start using it. Whereas like any other skill set out there, you know, like for example, like paramedic, 2 years, a doctor, 4 years, a lawyer, 4 years of school, 2 years of schooling before you're actually practicing. So if people, like for the majority of the public, if they took the same 2 to 6 years to commit to this kind of stuff, they would see tremendous results, right? And I'm not saying that that's how long it's going to take you. The good thing is, the reality is like 30 days to really kind of get a grasp of the skill, about 90 days of really being in the pocket learning, and then and then if you got to keep a track on your numbers, you know, which you're doing good on your numbers, kind of thing. But it's just the math adds up. Like it's math, kind of thing. Have you ever read? I'm gonna leave you with one other book too, and then I'll be open for like Q&A because I know I'm rambling, but there's just a lot of stuff I want to share with you.
No, that's great.
The 4-Hour Workweek. Have you ever read it?
No.
All right, so put that down, and specifically like, it's like the first 1 or 2 chapters, okay, and then chapter 9, it's talking about the muse, okay. Chapter 14, which is mini retirements, and chapter 15, which is what do you do with your time, kind of thing. Go through those chapters. I just went back through the book. I got it on audiobook. I got it tangible. I got it on my Kindle, and it's amazing to go back through that book because he really lays out a blueprint for a lot of people, and it was a lot harder to do what he talks about in the book than what it is today. But when you read the book, you'll be like, holy crap, like I know how I could do that right now, but without all that extra cost. Like it's a lot easier now, okay? And you can use it, and that's a very common book, okay? Most people have heard of it. So if you start off saying like to people, like, oh, what are you doing now, Val? It's like, oh, well, have you read the 4-Hour Workweek? And they're like, no, but I've heard of it. Well, let me tell you this, like I read it, it changed my life, and I realized that there's a better, a faster, easier way to do work. Like I can do work once now, and it pays for me over and over. And like remind people, like, have you ever, like just like now, doesn't it feel pretty good to have ads out there that are working for you, and your phone dings with a notification to be like, wow, I just had a salesperson basically advertise my thing, tell them all about it, and now they're nurturing them while I'm enjoying dinner with my family. You know, that's leverage. You know, like make sure that you're feeling that whenever you're doing it. Like I make it a point to where whenever I'd always set my ads up on a Thursday and then test them through Monday, so it's always the same time. And by Monday I either cut it completely or let it keep running. Right. Okay. Well, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would make it a point not to look at my phone at all. You know, like no technology, so that Monday, whenever I come back, I'm like, oh, I had 20 leads this weekend, you know, like I had, you know, and that's just you got to let yourself feel that kind of stuff to realize I'm that close to getting this all figured out, and it's all just going to become amazing kind of thing. Okay. So with all that, like I said, doing those first few things, I'd love to just in another couple weeks or as you start getting this thing going, let me know how it keeps routining with it. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me, like right now? There's stuff that you've been curious about or anything like that?
Well, one thing is about the ads, like you were saying, you would like just run them through the weekend and then stop them during the week. And see, Lori's she recommends just keeping them running all the time because she says it messes up the Facebook algorithm.
No, I wouldn't stop them. Yes, no, she's right. What I'm saying is like if I had a fresh idea for an ad, right?
Oh, I see.
So, for example, if I have a fresh idea and I started on Saturday and then it runs for 3 days, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do as good as that other one, but that other one I started on Thursday and it ran Friday, Saturday, Sunday when people are at home on the weekends. Okay, so I try to if I have a fresh idea, I start everything the same time. Like so, if I have a fresh idea, I don't start it on Tuesday. I wait till Thursday so that Facebook launches it. Starts learning who it is who's responding, so that because Sunday and Monday were my biggest lead flow days. Okay, so I wanted my new ad to be primed and ready to hit Sunday and Monday, to where if it started slow, like on Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday start getting leads, but Sunday all of a sudden I get like 10 leads for like $1 a piece. I'm like, all right, this one's gonna go, kind of thing. Okay. That's what I mean by that. But no, Lori's right. Yeah. Your controls you run all the time, because also you're going to get leads at 2, 3 in the morning. When you wake up, you get leads because that's whenever they're scrolling, you know, and have the time to really look at what you have, kind of deal. So, and you've tested. I want, because I just thought of this too. You've tested your funnel though, right? Like if they click through everything, like it gets them to the application page, right? And
it does. I've had I had Lori opt in, and I've opted
and like go all the way through the process. Okay, yeah. Cause I'm just saying, I'd hate for people to have been trying to do it, because trust me, that happens too. You know, they try to do it and then they realize they had their funnel set up wrong. But you know, I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that kind of thing. So.
That's a good point. Yeah, so I think it's working fine. It seems like it is. So how often do you email your list?
So. I've been waking my list back up because I was a little inactive with it, just because I got rattled with all kinds of stuff. So what I try to do now is at minimum 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. There's times where I'll hit them every day with something.
Okay.
And so what I try to do now is like it's not all the time about Renaissance or Empire stuff. Sometimes, like this week was our wedding anniversary, so I was just like, hey, about to head out the door with the wife, whatever. I got some cool stuff coming. I just wanted to, tell you to be on the lookout, kind of thing. So sometimes it's just a touch base, like, hey, this is where we went out to eat. This is what I ordered, kind of thing. And and then because I had like, we went out, but then while we were out, I had a payment come in for some of the consulting I've done. And so I just to show them, like, look, this is the power of this stuff. Like, when you learn this, people are begging for these services. I can be out with my wife and then get home, and then there's $2,000 wired over to us. Like, that can be the power if you really want to get into this space, kind of thing. So same kind of thing. Like, you can do a thing saying, hey, we're about to go out to whatever, something, and then the next day you're like, look, we had a great time there, but check this out. While I was there, we had 3 leads come in. That's like having 3 people in my digital store. That's another way to look at it. Like, traditional business owners have to have a brick and mortar business and have people walk into their store. All right, yours is a digital empire store that people enter it with their email. Okay, so and you're set up like on New York Times Square because you're on Facebook. And versus like, so you can see how like this starts clicking with people. They're like, holy shit, like I could do that. If I had a good offer, I could do that. Kind of thing. So that's it. That's you're on the right track with that. I think it's gonna be great for you, and then it'll just continue to evolve. Going forward.
Are you still selling Ren all the time?
Oh yeah. I tell people that's what my one was a few weeks ago. Like, I tell people that's the top offer online. Like, if somebody wants to come in, learn the internet space, okay, and you got to have the 3 things. You got to have an offer, okay. You got to have a system, and you got to have people, like a pocket of people to serve with that offer, kind of thing. And high ticket starting off. You're better going high ticket for a new person, because if you go high ticket, you're committed, right?
I'm committed.
If you were to have just spent like, $200, $500, let's say you did $500 on like an MLM, which I love MLMs too, but it's really easy just to spend that $500. 90 days later, it's not really working out. It's all right, But if you swiped for 5,000, you're like, all right, let me give this some attention, I'm paying with attention with my money, right? And you don't have to constantly, because what I find, because I've done this too, you buy all the little stuff and then you just feel like there's something else missing. Whereas if somebody swipes for Ren and they get all the Mark's content, they get everything. There's other programs out there. There's people that pretty much, and I know this from being around for a little bit and seeing it, people that have bought Mark stuff, learned all of it, okay, and then they start their own thing. With their own spin, their own angle and stuff like that, but they'll sell it stuff for 10, 15, 20,000 of information, where like Mark has always, I think, been he always undercharges. He can that's what I'm saying. Like, people just get such a value with his content. Like, if somebody's serious, they're best starting off with Ren as a newbie, okay? If somebody's more advanced and stuff like that, then if they're looking for that next step, their next step is more one-on-one mentoring with like somebody like Mark, which is more expensive, kind of thing. But somebody that's just starting, and that's who you dial in that's your perfect avatar, okay? Is that somebody that's right on the, like I was sharing the little storyboard, they had some kind of life tension that happened, and they're trying to find an answer, and right now they're right in between that, right? They're looking for what is that thing to get them over it. And if you can be the one to tell that first story right there, all right, and what your offer is Empire, Renaissance, the whole gamut, is that's what's going to, then you tell the story of all the pursuit and the journey that you've been doing so that they can see themselves on that other side, Okay. So, and don't forget to start, have you been sending your list Limitless?
I haven't yet.
Yeah. So the new funnel and stuff like that, what I would do is you've played through the first 5 levels though yourself, right? So I would do like a little campaign of like 1 email a day of like level 1, and you don't even have to explain that much. Just be like, check this out, level 1, wallet. I feel fresh, refreshed, clean, do whatever. Level 2, do a picture of you running, send that to the list and show them all that. And then at the end of it, do a good strong call to action to be like, hey, I got a gift for you. First 5 levels are for free. And, it's the same gamified experience that's taught me how to go from absolutely nothing to complete, internet wizardry, in as little as 30 days kind of thing. And let them know how you feel. It's not so much, you don't have to worry about selling results. And people don't want to hear that, oh, I made 30 grand in my first 90 days. I made this. They want to hear, I now know how to do this. And I know that I'm able to make, I know I'm able to get a lead. I know I'm able to make sales. I know that going forward, I'm set up for success. Like, I have all the puzzle pieces. There's nothing left out. The Empire completely revealed everything to me. You can, do all that kind of stuff, with it. So, there's so much. Yeah, you can see how it's like, this is gonna be really fun. It's like
there is. There's a lot to it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then later, I mean, of course, I'm gonna recommend Limitless at some point for you because it is like I said, when you get later in the game and stuff like that, it's amazing what Mark's done to really, because the original idea is that he wanted people that are like turning 20 to have the same wealth infrastructure as like most of the people that are turning 40, for example. Like, it's not until later we start thinking about all these different wealth multipliers, like life insurance, stocks, trades, blood works, different things like that. Like, you don't think about that stuff when you're 20, but it's not that hard if somebody were just to tell you about it, and then how to handle wealth. He walks through like, look, there's different the fascinations or it's like future fortunes or something like that. It's like a 3-part series in Limitless, and when you get to like the 3rd one, it's like mind-blowing stuff. I'm like, I wish I was told that younger, but I'm glad I got it now. So it's a good value for people because it's good for people that maybe they're not looking for the internet space. Maybe they just are like Chris Chaz's story. Like, he just was a 17-year-old punk kid that wasn't going nowhere, and Limitless gave him structure. Some people just need structure, and so you're gonna have people on your list that might be the thing that triggers them. So that's why you want to have pivot offers. Like, you can send them just the Solomon Discovery. Like, if you go back into your royalty links, you can send off little one-off things. Hey, Solomon Discovery, $37. 8-figure foundation, $37. Let them get into our world, kind of thing. So don't be afraid to do that either, kind of thing.
And that free Limitless first 5 levels link is in our links, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the royalty thing, you'll see free Limitless. You basically take that link, and that's what you'll put in the button for the Limitless funnel that I shared the other night. Okay.
Yes.
And I just updated the document today to say these are the 5-6 things that you want to be doing. And it's all the same things. Like I tell you to put your privacy policy as it teaches in Invisible Infrastructure. Put your royalty link on the button. As kind of thing. And I'm going to be doing more structured videos later, but that's just for people to get it out right now. Like, we have a lot of stuff that's going to be enhanced in the back office, but it just, some people are like, they're ready to go with it. They want to get it out there. Kind of thing.
Yeah. So, well, that's what I was like trying to figure out. But I think I just need to get going and I start emailing them more and trying to build that relationship with them.
Exactly. And then I'll give you some other books that I find that are really good, and just the certain chapters. The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes.
What was his name?
Chet Holmes, Chet, and then Holmes is Holmes, something like that. And specifically chapter 4, like I said, don't worry about the whole book. The whole book's awesome, but chapter 4 on education-based marketing is huge. Also, Jay Abraham's how to get everything you want out of everything that you got, something like that. It's a black and white cover book. Jay Abraham is responsible for like $9 billion in sales. He's like the top strategist in the world. And the little insights, it's like super simple but super impactful. Like that book, I would literally tell you read cover to cover. It wasn't what I thought it was, and then I kept putting off reading it because it kept getting recommended to me. But it really it will get your mind thinking a lot. But those two guys are really like some of the top strategic minds in the industry. So they'll get you thinking a little bit different. And those are all things that you can share with your list, like your aha moments.
Yeah.
Dude, I was reading this, because they want to see that. They're like, I want to become that person that's constantly, evolving, growing, adapting to the times and stuff like that,
Right.
And
yep.
Have you done much social media stuff in the sense of like a honeypot post on your Facebook or stuff like that?
No, in my Facebook page, I have like, I think like maybe 88 likes.
Yeah, well, your
already...
page, your Facebook page, the organic stuff, like Facebook has pretty much said, we're only showing your page is if you're advertising, but your personal profile you can leverage, okay? But you want to do that a little bit strategically. I don't do too much on mine anymore. I do it every now and then, like I said, strategically. And so with something like that you're doing, you want people aware that you're kind of in motion of doing some pretty cool stuff, okay? And so the Pictures to Profits trainings kind of share how to do that.
Okay.
And that's just sharing like your stories, things that you're doing, and how to weave it into stories, and how to, like, are you familiar with what the honeypot post is?
Yeah, somewhat, but yeah.
Yeah, so review that, because you have a good story now that you can. I could see a honeypot post for you saying something like, with how fast the world is changing today, I never thought that I'd be the one that's generating Facebook leads, and
Right.
and then give the backstory of things back and forth. You'll know your own story as you go through the honeypot training, but and then at the end of it, you can do a call to action to be like, if you want to see the simple 4 things I did to get my first 100 leads. I made a 10-minute video. I'll send it to you. Just type info in the comments.
Yeah.
And then you respond to all those people privately to be like, it might be people that you haven't talked to in a while, whatever. You do a little chat and just be like, hey, here's the video that kind of shares with you what I'm up to. If let me know what you think. I'd love to, I think you'll get a lot of value out of it, kind of thing. And then just make a page and put the video on there, and then have a button underneath it to say like, to do a capture page to your travel, to the, for now, just do it to your how to travel often and get paid to do it,
Okay.
And then just let them know, like, say, hey, this is the video. And then in the video, just be like, the button below lets you know what it is that I've discovered that I've really loved, and it's really changed the way that I do things now. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
Like, you'll actually get some, those are going to be some of your hottest leads right there, because they already, know you, kind of thing.
Right.
So that's an option to do too,
Okay.
for some strategy, especially because you have a result now,
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's awesome information. That's very, very helpful.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that, you're going to be doing great with it. Right now is a hot time of year. People are getting their tax. Weave this into your follow-up. Tax returns are coming back. People are getting a little extra money. Make sure that they're aware that we have the no credit check financing. Like, hey, how most people, because this after selling, quite a few of these. Like, where'd you go? You're right. Hold on. I gotta find you. All right, there we go.
Oh, that's okay.
So. A lot of people, buy Renaissance with a credit card, right? And so typically it's like, get a 0% interest credit card, put it on the card for the first year. It's basically $50. You gotta just, roll the dice, tell yourself, hey, I'm worth $50 a month, and I'm gonna figure it out. Like, the training's good enough to figure it out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if people are not wanting to put that much, they can, basically with $2K no credit check financing plus about $3K in on a credit card, they're looking at roughly $300 a month. So call it a car payment,
Right.
And and you can compare it to a car, and you can walk them through, like, so you walk them through this with your own logic, like with your own story, like, hey, I was thinking to myself, I can pay $300 for a new car that's just going to depreciate over the next 12 months, or I can do $300 a month towards this. Just the traveling alone. If I take one trip every 5 years, I'll make my money back. Or best case scenario, I actually figure this internet thing out, and I multiply it exponentially, kind of thing.
Right.
Like you want to logically, you got to weave between logic and reason, okay? And I'll leave you with that. Like there's reason and want. People, they start with their heart, with what they want, and then they have to logically give themselves a reason, and then their brain spits it back to their heart. Like if you really want it, here's the reason that you can move forward with it, and then boom,
that's true.
And then they buy, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you gotta be that one to make that connection with them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that between doing all that stuff, I think you'll start getting some good results and everything. So
okay, yeah, no, that's super helpful. I'll definitely get going on this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And it was a whole bunch. Like I said, the good thing is I'm recording us, so I'll send it over to you so that you can pause, rewind, share, and if you want, go ahead. Whenever I send it to you, don't be afraid to send this to your list or anything too. Just to be like, look, this is what our community does. You're showing motion. There, we help each other out and stuff like that. It's a real community kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I did some on my Facebook page. Lori encouraged me to do some videos, just short little 3-minute videos, and I did 3 of them on closing tips from Mark's training.
Perfect.
So that I was thinking I could put that in one of my emails.
Yeah. So you can link to that, okay? And if you're also, do you have custom audiences set up for like your capture page and your thank you page?
I don't think so.
Are you familiar with what custom audience is or means?
No, not for sure.
I want to say it's somewhere in the levels, okay? Okay, and just look at all the levels, and there's one that says custom audiences in there, right?
Okay, all right.
So what you can do with this is 2 things: the custom audience for your capture page, a custom audience for your bridge page, so that your bridge page, these are all your leads, right? So you can advertise directly to your leads. And now that you have 100 leads, like everybody that sees that capture page, you could run an ad and follow up with them to be like, hey, let me tell you more about this or that or whatever it is. Or you could target them and send them videos like that, where it's like you might go in there and just spend like $10 on sending it to those leads. Like once that $10 is up, it's done. Okay. But maybe they're not opening your emails, but they'll see you on social media, on their Facebook kind of thing.
Yeah.
So just put that note down to look at custom audiences. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's one thing with my my open rates on my follow-up emails haven't been that great. I mean, I think the highest one's like 28%.
No, that's good. No, your follow-up. Oh wait. All right. So your follow-up emails. Do you know what your first 3 follow-up emails open rates are?
The first and the third are like high 20s. The middle one's like, I don't know, 18 or 19.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we'd want that to get a little higher too. So I would say try changing up the headlines. Okay.
Subject line.
Yeah. And so just start with that, and then see what that does. With it. And then how do you have your follow-up sent? Is it 1 the first day?
There's one immediate as soon as they opt in, and then there's one every day after for 6 days.
Yeah. So the first day, it's okay to send like 2 to 3. And basically the first one is super short, just saying like, hey, here's the video you requested. Look for my welcome email later.
Okay.
Send another email 2 to 3 hours later. And it's basically your backstory. Hey, first, I just want to thank you and welcome you to my newsletter. Okay, here's what you can expect from me. Kind of point in there, and that's where you tell your story. Like, look, and like I said, I would really use that angle of, I was good, hardworking offline. Got sick and tired of seeing all these little 20-year-old kids. I started Googling around. I found a solution, and now I'm actively generating daily leads for myself. I have an awesome travel product that I'm really happy for my buyers because I know the internet can be a funny place, and that's what I'm sharing with you today is that travel product as well as some extra bonuses, you know, that you'll learn about on the video, kind of thing. So go ahead and watch it now, kind of thing, and then on your other videos, like you can keep them real short and you can just be telling them stuff that's in the video, like, hey, and have you ever felt alive but not really living? You know, I was that way, blah, blah, blah. You know, Tommy talks about it in minute 15. You know, go ahead and watch here and learn about how he overcame that kind of thing. Kind of thing. Or have you ever felt overworked and underpaid? You know, discover how the ambulance driver went from that to this kind of thing. Like, you always want to just sell the next click, as you know, Mark says. Like, talk about what's the very next thing, make it curiosity driven, and then click, they're over there. You know, kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. That's
different things like that, and you can experiment. What you also want to do is with your broadcast. If you go back and see that like a certain broadcast had a big open rate, okay, maybe use that headline in your follow up.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Then if you have a high click-through rate, like they opened it and then like maybe it was only 10% opened, but like the click rate is like 3 to 8%. You're like, a lot of people clicked inside this email. What did I say in this email? And then maybe that email goes into your follow-up. So everything that you're doing is leveraged. Like, you're not just typing that email just to touch base with them. You're typing it to, you know, get your muscle memory going with the marketing. Okay, you're trying to enhance your own sales experience, your own sales funnel. I mean, these emails are very important for multiple things. They're not just like this, oh, I send it and don't do anything with it. You're trying to find some little golden, you know, nuggets inside of that. So yeah, there's a lot of value there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's awesome.
So I didn't. Overall, not overwhelming, right? It's just enough to kind of get excited, right?
Yeah, well, and thank you, because these are tangible things I can take and put into use, because I kind of was like, okay, I've gone through the training, I'm doing everything, but no sales are coming, and oh my god.
Yeah. Don't beat yourself up on that. Like I said, I had a client. They paid me about $3,000 to do lead generation for them, right? And that was the lowest package that I offered them, right? It was like 3, 6, and 10,000, and they went with the lowest one, and they were like, Tommy, we're not getting any sales. You know, I was like, that's because where's the fall at? Because I was getting them from, they were spending $40 on a lead. This was like for $1,000 golf club, right?
Okay.
They were getting $40 leads. I got them down to 3, right?
Whoa.
So they're getting all these leads for $3 and nobody's buying. I'm like, well, you know, Steve, why would they buy? You have no guarantee on your website. You have no you have no explainer for the video. You don't show what it's made of. Like, basically they had no benefits, features, offers, nothing, right? It was just like, hey, opt in, here's the page, you should buy this. And it was, and so the COG, like, so just that same kind of thing, like, we were getting leads, getting them consistently, and getting them at price, but we weren't getting the sales, okay? So that's where the COG is, you know? And so for you right now, if you were getting a bunch of phone calls but no sales, we'd be like, all right, the COG is on the phone.
Right.
What are you doing on the phone? But until we get to that phone, our COG right now is from watching the video to the application, okay? So we need to make that easier to do, so that's why we're eliminating that one page, just so it's that much closer, and we'll see what happens, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I'll do that as soon as we get done here and see what happens then. That'll be great.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right.
Awesome. Well, look, I'm gonna be heading to lunch right now, though.
Yeah.
If there's anything else, though, like, feel free to reach out to me. You know, with it, what I would really love is that if maybe you just take 1 or 2 ahas that you've had from this little session and like post it in the group, you know, just kind of like, hey, you know, just got off a great, you know, chat with Tommy, you know, I was doing good, but felt whatever, but now I have a better idea going forward, kind of thing. Just people, because there's other people that are a little bit behind where you're at right now, and they need to see, they need to know that, hey, it only gets better. Just keep going, kind of thing.
Okay.
So if you're down for that, you don't have to,
Yeah.
like, but that would be, I think that would, there's people in there that would get value from hearing that, hey, I'm making the adjustments, making a few tweaks, and I know that I'm right there on the cusp, of getting things going. Okay.
No, that's great. I can definitely do that. And I appreciate you being so accommodating and responding to me when I've had questions all this time. I
yeah,
really
no problem.
appreciate that.
No problem.
So, okay, well, cool. And I will do that. And then, you're going to send me the link with everything, and then I can review it if I need to.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
probably, because it'll probably take a little bit of time, because this internet I have here is not that good. So I'll try to do today. Worst case, probably tomorrow sometime. So
that's fine.
Yep.
I've been taking notes, but I know I'll get more of it after if I listen again. So
Yep.
that would be good. So
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Tommy.
No problem. You have a good one, okay?
Okay. You too.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.